if you do rushing into things or having that energy of rush, that sort of a frazzled sense of it in your life, then hey, this conversation is just for you. I was just looking at this whole piece around rush, and one thing that we miss underneath it a lot is that anytime that you're rushing, there's some information that action is holding underneath it. And more often than not, if you look at what are you rushing over, you will find some sort of unintegrated charge, which often shows up as an intense emotion, something that we want to numb ourselves to, something that we're not giving our presence and awareness to. And it doesn't actually work. I mean, it works in the small term. It works in the small term perspective. So if you are if you're rushing over something, you might even use that energy, because it's all just energy. Rush is also an energy. You might actually be using that energy in a productive way to get things done. But at the end of it, it comes down to really looking at what is it creating? And is that energy what you would like predominantly your life to be? If you were to look at being maybe 80 or 90 years old and look back in your life, would you have wanted your life to be about rushing? And this whole piece of work around rush, because I work a lot with entrepreneurs, and this comes up so frequently when we're on our entrepreneurial journey. It doesn't even matter if we're starting out, if we're way in, down the line on our journey in whatever way. But there's always a lot of times when we're creating our businesses, when we're creating things in the world, there could be, it 100% requires you, first of all, to navigate a landscape of things like overwhelm, doubt, fear. And this is just to highlight, this is the kind of stuff that comes up in your world anytime you're taking up a challenge that is beyond what I like to call your familiar zone, because you're familiar with certain spaces, certain energies, and a lot of times rush becomes a part of our familiar zone. So we start functioning in the world from a place of rush rather than from a place of calm and presence and relaxation. So let me see, there's a question. It's the right thing to do in business world. Exactly, the hustle culture, right? We live in the hustle culture. And it's fascinating to me, if you even were to Google up the definition of the word hustle, I personally, when I found out what the word hustle stands for, it's literally to rush, literally to rush, and to have like a force energy in your creations. And we're not preaching what's right and what's wrong. We're here to just look at what's working for you and what's not. What matches the energies that you would like your life, the journey of your life to be, not your destination. Because a lot of times I also see people chasing that once I achieve certain thing, I can then fill in the blank, relax, enjoy, have fun, whatever that is for you. But it is about the journey, because when you're 80 years old or 90 years old and you turn back and look, you're not going to look at the destinations you reached. You're going to remember the journey. And so what do you want your journey to be about? If rush is an energy that works for you, awesome. No judgment there. Keep on using what works for you. But if you notice that the whole rushiness is not something that matches what you would like to create in your life, then you've got to look at this. Because underneath the rush, there's always something that you're avoiding being present with, looking at. So I have another question. If I relax, I feel lazy sometimes. That's a good one. Because how often, growing up, if you were relaxing, were you acknowledged for, hey kid, good job relaxing? Or were you actually judged, as lazy? Stop being lazy, move your ass up the couch, get to work, you got homework to do, and all that things. So this is another really cool thing that occurs in our journey. We learn based on how people around us are basically labeling certain energies to be so. So I would be actually curious and look at it that, am I actually being lazy here? Or am I taking a moment of break to relax? Or am I just relaxing myself because you gotta recharge yourself to be productive, which is a huge part of the whole, productivity theories. And it's not even theory, it's like practicalities of productivities. You've got to allow yourself to relax. But there's so many ways in which these energies of relaxed, not rushing, have been misjudged to mean things like lazy. And there's one simple way to know what it is for you. Ask a question. Look at it. Am I actually being lazy here? Or am I just truly giving my body, myself, the space to relax so I can be more productive even? So that's a little thing on relaxation and lazy. And thank you for bringing that up, because that's a common one. Like, I've had that too, relaxing becomes so hard. And I love that we're looking at relaxation, because when you're not rushing, what are you? Relaxed. When there's no rush, there is space for relaxation to show up. And that's where a lot of times we distract ourselves from that space. Because when we relax, when we be present, we are aware. It's not even that we become aware. Awareness is not something that, is showered upon us in a given moment. We are always aware. But when we stop the rush, when we allow ourselves to relax, when we allow ourselves to be, we find that there are things that we're already aware of. There is stuff in our awareness that we have sort of been rushing over, not being willing to be present with. And a lot of times underneath that choice of not being present with what is in a given moment and wanting to rush over to the destination, whatever that is for you, a lot of times you will find that underneath is a lot of unintegrated energy. That's all that there is. Unintegrated, not broken, nothing that needs to be fixed, something that requires your presence and your attention. And so this is the crucial information that the energy of rush always is bringing up for you whenever it shows up. The information that if you're willing to, in that moment, or even in a retrospect, like if you were to just look back at your day and find spaces where you were rushing and just slow down and look at, okay, cool, what was I rushing over? What was I feeling in that moment? You might discover that a lot of times when we give presence to something, because presence is also, it has a very esoteric connotation to it, that to be present and to be relaxed means it should feel like a particular way. But in truth, a lot of times when you choose presence, when you choose relaxation, you become aware of all the intensities that are there in your space. They might not even be yours. They might be just an awareness of an intensity that you're having that you haven't yet been present with and looked at, hey, what is this? What can I be with this? And so that's my invitation for you guys today, that what if you were willing to, anytime and anywhere that you're doing rush in your life, and you don't have to catch it in the moment, most likely you will not, but even in a retrospect, if you were to just look at anywhere that you're doing rush towards achieving your goal, rush towards whatever you're rushing towards, what is underneath that rush? What are you aware of? What are you rushing over? What's underneath that rush? And like I said, you might find there's going to be a lot of unintegrated charge. And you can integrate a charge with your presence, which is counterintuitive, because we're rushing to not be present with something we've decided is too intense to handle or be with. And it is our presence that will allow that energy to dissipate, to release, to move. And so what that gives you access to is true choice, not from reaction, because a lot of times that rush energy in itself is a reactive energy. But once you let go of the rush, you have access to that reaction-free space where you can choose how you would like to show up how you would like to respond. So the rush keeps us from choice. The rush I'd say true choice being where you're not being influenced by any reactions, but you're truly choosing from a place of presence and like your personal sense of agency that, yeah, this is what I'd like to have. Not because I'm avoiding anything, but this is what I'd like to have. So that's one. It also keeps you from true creation. Because if we're spending our lives rushing, we are not being present with what we actually want to create. We might even be taking actions that from a surface level look like they are moving towards what we say we want to create. But the energy of rush keeps us from receiving the wealth of our journey. So that's what I invite you guys to look at today. That anywhere that you might be rushing, look at it for a minute. What is underneath that rush? What are you rushing over? And is there any unintegrated charge, any emotion, any intensity in your space? And what can you be with it that would allow that to dissipate and release? And it does require of you to stop being reactive to the intensities a lot of times that are in our space, but to be present with them and choose proactively. Use your agency, your true choice. All right, my friends. So if you enjoyed this conversation, leave me a comment below. And this is the sort of work that we do in my private coaching client work. So if you would like some support on your journey in navigating your journey in a way that the journey becomes the beautiful byproduct, the beautiful, destination, like that what you're looking for in the destination, you can literally cultivate all through the journey. So if that's something you're interested in, hit me up and we'll chat, and I'll be here again sometime soon with another video, which I'm very excited about, which is sort of like about a summary of my takeaways from this daily life challenge that I've been up to. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go to my profile here on Instagram and hit the first highlight and you'll find out what I'm up to. All right, my friends, I'll see you another time. Bye-bye.